Most safeguarding and wellbeing issues don't start as one big instance. They start as small moments noticed by good practitioners in the middle of a busy day. And if those small moments are not captured properly, patterns get missed. And that is exactly why I built On the Button. We have an On the Button accreditation where we talk with settings about how they're using the system in real life. And during one of those conversations recently, a setting shared an example I think every leader will recognise. This is a large nursery and it also offers after school services. And they told me about one family with 2 children in their care and how concerns were starting to show up in different ways for each child. The older child was showing behaviours that were causing concern, especially in how they were interacting with the younger children and in some of the language they were using. The other child was presenting differently, not the same behaviours, but smaller things that staff were noticing and quietly thinking about. What they did next is what mattered. They used On the Button to log what they were seeing each time the children attended. So instead of relying on memory or corridor conversations or bits of information held by different people, those concerns were recorded clearly in one secure place. That was the first step in making sure nothing got lost. As those logs built up, the senior team who were alerted through On the Button could see how many logs had been made over a period of time. That meant they could see this was not one-off behaviour. There was a pattern. And once the senior team could see that pattern clearly, they were able to respond in a more joined up way. This was no longer sitting with one practitioner. It was something the wider team could see, review, and act on. The setting said this helped them meet with the parents because they had evidence there. Not vague recollections, not half-remembered moments, but a clear record of what had been noticed over time. That is when the bigger picture started to become clear. And it changed the conversation because they were not simply talking about behaviour. They used what had been logged in On the Button to look more closely at what might be happening for each child. What came through very clearly was this. They did not see the behaviour as the whole story. They saw it as a sign that something else might be going on. So this became about well-being too, about noticing early signs, about recording them properly, and about making sure they were reviewed, not brushed off. They also said it helped them support the family better because the senior team could see the pattern. They could have a more informed and supported conversation with those parents. It was not just a reaction to one difficult incident. It became a thoughtful discussion about what was happening, what support might help, and how the setting could work with the family in a joined up way. So this was really about well-being, not just behaviour. And that is what matters to me. Because families do not need to be told there is a problem. They need to feel the setting is paying attention, acting fairly, and trying to help. And there was another layer. The practitioners needed support too. When you're working with children whose behaviour or presentation is causing concern, that can feel heavy. But by logging concerns in On the Button and making sure that information reached senior staff, those practitioners were not left to carry it alone. What they noticed was seen. Leaders were alerted, and support and decisions sat with the wider team, not just one person in the room. The same setting shared another example as well, a grandparent. A grandparent who lost sight of a child in the playground. The staff noticed it, they logged it, and that supported a calm conversation with the mother of that child. Again, what mattered was not only that it was recorded, it was that the setting could use that record to talk things through, consider whether extra support was needed, and kept checking in. So again, On the Button helped them notice, record, review, and respond. And that is why I wanted to share this, because it shows how On the Button brings concerns together, helps staff see patterns developing, and helps settings respond in a clearer way, in a calmer way, in a more joined up way. This is not just a story about behaviour. It's a story about noticing early signs, building a clearer picture, and supporting well-being properly for the children, for the family, and for the practitioners doing the work day by day. And that is where On the Button helps. One secure place to record concerns, a clearer view for leaders, and better decisions with more clarity and confidence. If you want your team to have a clearer way to raise concerns, help senior staff see patterns sooner, and support children, families and staff in a more joined up way, take a look at On the Button. weareonthebutton.com.